Viewers, the latest news about the ongoing conflict between Ethiopia, Tigray, and Eritrea is that US reportedly, after advancing on two axes, the Ethiopian National Defense Force and its allies have taken Alamata, Koram, Zata, Adivasho, Falla, and Tartare, and the entirety of the mountains south of Koram, aside from some assumed stragglers. With Tigray Defense Force defense at Almata were outflanked by a push down the Zata axis, compromising the entire defensive line. And Tigray Defense Force retreating north to Mechiu at this time, and Ethiopian National Defense Force and its allies control Meliham, Metsamri, Boya, Mescher Gabriel, and currently clashes reported near Amba, Madre, but situation could already be different. With the capture of Shire, it is expected that forces are also approaching from the north, and the loss of Shire puts the Tigray Defense Force in a rough spot along the B30, and it might be forced to abandon this whole section of the highway because of supply and tactical difficulties. But on the other hand, aimed calls to embrace ceasefire, Ethiopian soldiers have announced controlling a strategic town within Tigray region, following a series of air strikes which forced hundreds of civilians to flee, with diplomats now warning of possible bloodbath in the country. And civilians who have borne the brunt of the airstrikes started abandoning Shire town, which was initially under the control of Tigray Defense Force, paving way for the entry of Ethiopian soldiers. It is not clear if Eritrean troops also made entry. And ad worker who spoke to Washington Post in confidence said cost of living has skyrocketed in the country, leaving poor people with no option other than walking several kilometers as they seek safety in the country, and millions of people have been displaced. With fresh fighting erupted in August after Ethiopian troops, with assistance from Eritrean counterpart, started firing missiles to Tigray People Liberation Front strongholds, leading to another unprecedented siege, and stakeholders have been calling for peace talks and immediate exit of Eritrean soldiers. The situation in Ethiopia is spiraling out of control. The social fabric is being ripped apart, and civilians are paying a horrific price. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres wrote Monday on Twitter after the news that Shire had fallen, hostilities in Tigray must end now, including the immediate withdrawal and disengagement of Eritrean armed forces from Ethiopia. And Shire had been held by forces from Tigray, which have been fighting Ethiopia's central government for nearly 2 years, and is home to about 1 lakh residents and another 60,000 people who have fled hostilities elsewhere, Washington Post notes. And the city is a strategic crossroads and the gateway to the main highway leading into Tigray's capital, central capital Mekelle. And from the west, its airport could also be used by Ethiopian forces to significantly extend the range and time in the air of their drones. With Ethiopia now targeting to take our strategic towns, diplomats say the move could be resisted by Tigray People Liberation Front, which had retreated to organize for offensive. And bloodbath could be the aftermath of the current standoff in the Horn of Africa nation. Whereas The Ethiopian National Defense Force strictly abides by all pertinent norms and principles of international humanitarian law, and strict instructions have been given to all combat units to reinforce this commitment. It did not mention Eritrean troops, which have been blamed for many previous abuses. And the United Nations has persistently asked both parties to allow humanitarian teams access civilians who have been subjected to the current stalemate, and neither side has shown commitment. Particularly, Ethiopian and Eritrean troops are accused of imposing blockage on Tigray region. West people say if they come here, there will be no mercy. One resident of Shire wrote on WhatsApp to the Washington Post that fear is driving young people to join force commanded by the Tigray People Liberation Front, the political party that controls Tigray. He said after a period earlier this year when many sought to avoid having to fight and were forcibly conscripted. Well, thousands of people are believed to have died for the last 23 months as both parties try to take control, with millions already finding shelter in IDP camps, and the TPLF has expressed interest to negotiate with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, but it insists the agenda cannot commence before cessation of hostilities. So viewers, so far the latest update. For more latest update, please subscribe channel. Thanks for watching.